Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, we'll tell you the story about the rich dad and wise son.
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
So today we want to share with you the story of a rich dad who wants to teach his son just how fortunate he was to be in the family.
Oh, and just how blessed the family is. But
Yes.
as it turns out, it was the dad who learned the lesson from his wise son.
Hi, I'm George Kruger, a.k.a. The Professor.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. And this story is by a great author. You probably know this author.
Yeah?
You probably
Who is it?
love this author. It's anonymous.
Is it Mr. or Ms. Anonymous?
It's anonymous too.
Okay, we'll have to find out how Anonymous wants to be referred to.
So one day, the father of a very wealthy family took his son on a trip to the country. The dad's sole purpose was to show his son how poor people live. Now, wait a minute. Side note, whenever you and I go for drives in the country, we see awfully beautiful homes
Yes.
in the country, but, you know.
Well, Marilyn, maybe this was back up in the woods among the evergreens.
Okay.
Like Johnny Be Good, that old song, so there you go. But the whole point here is he took him to the country because he wanted to show his son how fortunate the family was, how fortunate the son was. Mm-hmm. And so they spent a couple of days and nights on the farm of what would be considered a very poor family. So it doesn't mean every farmer's poor.
Right.
It just means that he took them to a family that happened to be less fortunate in perhaps financial blessings, let's just say. And then on their return trip home, Dad just couldn't wait. He's just like, just firing at the bit, right? He's ready to know, like, what did my son learn? So he asked the son the question.
And here's their conversation.
So son, how was the trip for you?
Dad, it was great.
Did you see how poor people live?
Oh, yeah.
What did you learn from the trip?
I saw that we have one dog and they had four. We have a pool that reaches to the middle of our garden and they have a creek that has no end. We have imported lanterns in our garden and they have the stars at night. Our patio reaches to the front yard and they have the whole horizon. We have a small piece of land to live on, and they have fields that go beyond our sight. We have servants who serve us, but they serve others. We buy our food, but they grow theirs. We have walls around our property to protect us, while they have friends to protect them.
So after the son said all of that, the father was just speechless. And his son threw in one more ringer.
Thanks, Dad, for showing me how poor we are.
Wow.
What a story, huh?
That's incredible.
I mean, this has really become one of my favorite stories. It just goes to show how we develop our point of view from our experiences. And obviously, we want to learn from our experiences, but we need to be careful not to take away the wrong lessons. The son got the lesson right, correct? Mm-hmm. So the two of us, we have to frequently remind ourselves of this, that we've got these experiences and we have these perceptions of those experiences, but we want to make sure that we carry the right things forward into our life, because otherwise it's a recipe for disaster. So what we thought we'd do is share some of the lessons that we take away from this wonderful story about the rich dad and the wise son.
The first lesson is to nurture your childlike nature. Try looking at the world through the eyes of a child.
Yeah, look at things as if you're seeing them for the first time. And, this is something, Mary-Lynn, you and I, we constantly remind each other of. You got to fight that cynical urge. As we move from childhood to adulthood, we tend to get a little more skeptical.
Curmudgeon-y.
I wasn't going to say that, Mary-Lynn. And by the way, thank you very much. But the point is, you got to fight that urge. Skeptical's okay, but cynical is too far. And just be innocent again. Mm-hmm. You might just like what you see and be more grateful for what you already have.
Yeah.
That's what the wise son taught his rich dad.
The second lesson we took away from this story is to embrace your wonderful world. Do you have a sense of wonder about the world?
Yeah, this is another one that we continually remind each other about.
We sound like a couple of old fuddy-duddies over here. But it does take work.
It does.
It's easier as humans to be negative instead of positive.
And we're doing this show as Thanksgiving week show, but the point is these are attitudes and behaviors that we constantly have to work on because we want to exhibit them all the time.
Right. And a great starter for this point that we're making about embracing your wonderful world, and it's probably in your head already. You're probably singing it in your head already. Louis Armstrong's "What a Wonderful World."
Yeah, so you almost sang that, Mary-Lynn, but not like Louis Armstrong. What a wonderful... I can't do it.
However it says it. But it's just, it is. You listen to that song and it's like, wow, yes. I mean, when we go for walks in the park,
Yeah.
and you just allow yourself to say, wow, look at that cloud.
Yes.
Or look at that beautiful green tree.
Well, and a sense of wonder is going to make you feel young at heart, to use another song.
Oh, there we go. Frank Sinatra.
That's right, and I love the words of this song. Don't you know that it's worth every treasure on earth to be young at heart? And then, for it's better by far, for as rich as you are, it's better by far to be young at heart. That's going to help you maintain that childlike, not childish, childlike nature.
Absolutely. The third lesson from today's story is that our personal check on gratefulness is so important. When one of us has one of those days when the only luck we seem to have is bad luck and we get negative on life, we check ourselves with a question.
Yeah, and the question is, how can we expect God to bless us with more if we're not grateful for what we already have?
Yeah.
And that really helps us bring things back to a centered state.
And here's the funny thing about all of this. When you look for blessings, you find them.
Isn't that? I mean,
you absolutely will find them.
It's almost ironic, but it's so true. And, it really is a focus thing, and what we learn from psychology and, even this is a little bit law of attraction-ish. Now, we always say you got to put the action in the law of attraction. But the thing is, if you focus on negatives, then energy is going to flow to the negatives. And so what do you get? More negatives.
Right.
If you focus on positives, energy is going to flow to the positives, and so you're going to get more positive things in your life. That's what it takes. I mean, it's one of those things that's going to lead you to big success.
Absolutely. So, what can you look at through the eyes of a child? What is wonderful in your world? What are you grateful for today? Think about those things. Hey, and feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear from you. You can email us at biginfo@bigsuccess.com.
And we thank you so much for listening today.
And we wish you a very happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble, gobble.
What? We've got a turkey on the loose.
Gobble, gobble.
Oh, my goodness, look out. Until next time, and until we catch that turkey.
Here's to your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.